For today's webinar, this is just a quick overview of the things I like to cover. So we'll kind of go over some basic foundational pieces of traction at the very beginning to kind of set the tone for connecting your FS account. We'll be bringing bills in from the FS account, showing you how to approve, how to delete, those type of things with traction. My goal is to really close the loop with you today and actually bring in stuff for the bill like inputs and things and show you how those inputs can be allocated back to a field or to a crop and track your profitability right down to the field, down to the bushel. So we're going to be going through some things today and show you how that works. We'll touch on some financial reports as well throughout the day because those reports are really tied into everything that you do in traction. So I think hopping from the reports back to certain things will be very beneficial for you. And we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. To kind of kick things off, my name is Brian Stark. Come from a family farm in Northwest Ohio. I am one of the co-founders of Traction. I have a long history of information management in agriculture. It dates all the way back to the early 1990s with FarmWorks software. We did a lot of great things at FarmWorks, somewhat similar but quite different than what we're doing today in Traction. But that being a desktop system, a lot of these desktop software systems are actually just going away because it's just getting harder to keep them updated and to find help to keep those going. But so that's a little bit of background about myself. We also have Chris Wilde.
Thanks, Brian. So my name is Chris Wilde. I'm the Director of Partnerships here at Traction. And so a lot of the emails that you'll be seeing or have been seeing about the webinar and the follow-up emails will be all coming from me. So I work directly with all of the FS companies and really look forward to spending more time with everybody here. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, I'm going to close that slide deck and I'm going to go into my Traction account and kind of review some things today with you. We'll start with, again, just some foundation pieces. I think there's going to be a mix today of people who have Traction already, but maybe they've got their FS account connected and are using it. There's going to be some others that have never even seen this before. So I'm going to go through some things today that you may know already if you've already been using Traction, but I think they're really important to so that way we kind of go through these foundation pieces that really sets the tone for some of the things I'm doing a little bit later. The first thing I'll do here is just touch on the dashboard. So the dashboard is where you go to see your information, like the pie charts and bar graphs, gives you some very high level information about your operation. But most importantly, you have this let's get started area. Let's get started with your entities. So with Traction, we have 3 different levels. We have basic, plus, and pro. It doesn't matter what level you're on. You have the ability to add as many different entities as you want. I have 2 entities here. I have Stark Farms, LLC, and Newsbaum Trucking. So these 2 entities, really, it comes down to each of these have their own sets of books. So their own balance sheet, their own income statement, Schedule F. So for tax purposes, you can have as many here as you want. And the cool thing about Traction is if you have more than one entity and you want to look at one consolidated report, like one balance sheet for the entire operation, you can easily do that. And we'll kind of show you how that works. So this is step number 1. Step number 2 is connecting banks and credit cards. So this is a step you don't have to do. I do have my bank connected to Traction. So what that means is that when things clear the bank, my deposits and checks and things, those transactions will automatically flow into my account register for me. So it really cuts down the steps on how to do something versus you have to manually do everything from scratch with a transaction. So the goal here is to really cut down the work. Now, with that said, we don't force this step on anybody. So if you're the type that just doesn't want to connect things to Traction, you don't have to. You can do a lot of things manually and you'll be just fine as far as the reports go. So The last step here is important to point out, and you'll be able to go to all these things at any point down the road. So if you want to go back here and change things or add accounts, the chart of accounts is by far one of the most important things to get right. So the chart of accounts, I have my entity here, the Stark Farms LLC. As you can see here, I've already added quite a few of my accounts. We give you a list of revenue and expense accounts to pick from, and these are all tied to the Schedule F, and we do all that work for you. So the only thing you have to do here is pick them out. So if there's one here that I did miss here, maybe it was crop insurance proceeds, just hit the save button and it adds it to your chart of accounts. Same way with your expenses. If I'm kind of going through here and I know I've already done a pretty good job of picking out the ones I want to use for my farm for this specific entity. But there might be one here that I missed. So health insurance expense, hit save. Again, that adds it to your chart of accounts. So that's probably the really the foundation piece there I wanted to kind of touch on, just the fact that we make things quite easy to get things set up because if you spend really more than 5 minutes or so getting things set up with these three steps, you're probably most likely overthinking some things here. So that will kind of get you in the right direction with the software. And now the fact that I have some of these basic things set up, I want to touch on integrations. So we'll get right into the FS integration and why this is just a really cool feature, and it's something that we really highly recommend that you try it yourself and see the value from it. On the very left side here, the very bottom under tools, everyone has integrations. So it really doesn't matter what level you're using, but you do have to have the plus, so our middle level or pro, to have a lot of these integrations here to be able to use them. Now, with my traction account that you're looking at here, I've got a couple kind of weird ones here that says Keystone Cooperative Demo, FS Demo. You won't have those buttons. You'll just have one that says FS here. So you'll be able to click on these and be able to enter your account information. So what that looks like, if I go to FS here and go to edit, this is mine. Again, this is just a kind of a play account to kind of show you how it works. But when you connect to your FS account the first time, you'll add your company, FS company account number, what entity it belongs to. Again, that goes back to getting started, making sure you have your entities set up. And then the contact, I just have a very generic contact that says it's just called FS company. But obviously, if you were working with like specific FS company, you would actually have a little more detail there about the contact name. And then the sync date. So this would be a very, very important to point out. This is the date that whatever date you put in here is the date that it will start to bring in bills into Traction from that date forward. So I had to go back pretty far here for my demonstration today, but if you were kicking things off for January 1st, 2026, there's no real reason to have bills flown in from 2025, for example. So just be kind of aware of that sync date. Even if you go back a little bit farther than what you think you really need, you can always delete those if you don't want them. So it's really no harm if you back up the date a little more. And the other thing to point out, if you hit the add account customer, if you have like more than one FS company that you work with, you can add them both right here. So there is no limit there. For my example today, I just work with one FS company, so I don't really need to add a second one to my drop down here. So I'll just hit the trash can. But that's all there is to it. It's very easy to get your FS account set up. Once it's set up, you will have this little green check mark here. It'll kind of let you know that you're good to go. And when you got that green check mark on the left-hand side, if you click the import queue under accounting, you'll start seeing your bills show up here. So it doesn't take very long for this to work. I don't know exactly minute wise, how long it takes. I know it won't take very long for things to start showing up there. So if for whatever reason you're not seeing bills after, let's say, an hour or something like that, let us know. Reach out to us and we will dig into it for you. But really, it goes pretty quick. Um, and with that said, I will take a pause for just a minute and see if there's any questions coming in. Okay, not seeing anything yet. All right. So when you get to this part of the software, so the import queue is really important to kind of figure out. So you have the import queue, and there's another button that is related to it. It's called bills. So we're going to be touching on both of these things. The bills button, and really to explain the difference between that, the bills are things that you've already approved and recorded in Traction as an official bill. So these are bills that I've entered into Traction. I've got two here for FS company. Um, so they're pretty big amounts here, but these are waiting to be paid in Traction. They are recorded as an accounts payable. So they're just kind of sitting there for me to pay. And so the object here is to use that import queue to create less work, to get those into the bills area, okay, Traction. And I have 7 of these bills in my import queue that are sitting here that I have not approved yet. So what I want to do here is kind of take a look at each one of these, and I'm going to have to either decide to approve them or delete them. You hit the little arrow button there that kind of digs it into here where you can then make that decision whether you want to approve it or we call it archive, the lower left corner. So if this is something that you've already entered into Traction for some reason, you don't want to have 2 bills of the same thing, right? So you'll have to make that decision here whether you want to keep it or archive it. In my example here, this is a new bill that I purchased some things here from FS, and they're sitting in my queue here. I now have to make that decision to approve them. So this is a brand new one. And the thing to point out here are these little red triangles on the left. So those are like little warning symbols, meaning that you've got work to do. So my first item is, it says ATREX here. Now, if I click on it, I have to match what FS is telling me to what Traction has. So this ATREX, I do have ATREX already added to my input list. Actually, I already did all these supplies ahead of time just to save time for the webinar, but you can easily add these inputs on the fly here if it's not part of your favorites in Traction. We have a full database of like these chemicals and seed varieties. Fertilizers, you might have to add your own fertilizers in Traction, but a bulk of these chemicals and seed varieties are already in Traction for you to pick from. So what's really nice about that is it pulls over the EPA number and manufacturer and chemical labeling into Traction if you use the database. You don't have to. You can just freehand your supply names in, but the nice thing about picking out the actual input here and lining up to our inventory is that when we do the purchase here of Atrex, it will actually, you'll see here, it's actually going to increase our inventory by 50 gallons. So the new inventory will be 164 gallons of Atrex. And that's the cool thing about the software is that we're trying to take these inputs from a bill, convert them to inventory, and then from there we can make a decision whether we want to allocate them to fields, or not. That's really going to be up to you how much work you want to put into this. But we're definitely giving you the tools to make that decision to go either way. So what you want to do here is hit apply. And for each one of these, I've got in list 1. Actually, I've already should be in my list here to pick from. And you just verify them, right? You kind of go through these one at a time. And I've got lots and lots of chemicals here. There you go. Okay, so these all look pretty good. I hit apply. Now, when I sign them the first time, it does take a little bit to do the work here, but I'm telling you, it's going to go a whole lot faster from here on out. So the next time I purchase any of these 4 products that I've already matched, the traction is smart enough. It's got some learning involved there where it actually remembers that information. And so it will automatically match them for you the next time you purchase that. So really, it's just that first time, it does take a little bit of time to do that. Um, so like I said, it pulls in everything, even your discounts. If you had discounts, prepay. I by chance have prepay already set up in Traction. You'll see that it's actually FS is deducting this from my prepay for some of these products down here. So these chemicals, if I click on it, I will actually pick out that prepay account and offset it, right? So it's going to reduce my prepay in Traction so I can keep track of that balance of what I have left. And I have a balance here of $2,483. So, and I've got all green check marks. So if for some reason you don't have all green check marks, you have like those little red triangles here, it's not going to let you approve it. It just won't let you do it. So you have to match things to balance things out in Traction. If you want to add other information like memos or bring in a PDF file or whatever it is, you can do that at this time. But we're just going to hit the save and import button and hit yes. And what it does, it reduces the import queue. And if you go back to bills, and it added the brand new one here. So right there it is, $2,483. So if for whatever reason, you made a mistake on that and you need to go back and make a change somewhere, just go back, hit the three dots and hit edit bill, and that will kind of take you back to that screen again where you can make a change. So pretty simple. Um, and so it is an accounts payable. There is reports here that I wanted to show you based off of that information that I just put into the software system. Where's it going? How do you access it? So what you want to do is go to on the left side here, go to reports and go to accounting. If you go to accounting, the first thing I'll show you is this inventory report and go to input inventory summary. And so this report here is going to show you the inventory on the farm and the amounts of each and what you have left that you can allocate to a field. So right there it is. There's the brand new ones here that we just purchased a few minutes ago, that Power Max 3 herbicide, the 10 gallons. Right there's the price that we paid per gallon. It's automatically flown everything into Traction. And so these reports it's just a great way to look at some of this information. If I go back here again, another nice report that I like to look at is the accrual balance sheet. So the accrual balance sheet, I have to change the date here. But the accrual balance sheet shows like my prepays. So if I'm kind of scrolling through here and looking at my prepay accounts, you'll be able to see that. And what's really nice, if you keep scrolling all the way down at the bottom, it has a supporting schedule. A lot of people don't know this, but the top is more or less a summary report of the accrual balance sheet. Down below is where it kind of looks at your prepay expenses, and now you can kind of see a breakdown of what made up prepay expenses. And for that chemical expense, I think we had $10,000 before we did that FS bill transaction. So now we're down about 6,500 because we reduced the prepay. We wrote a check at some point for prepay, and now we're reducing the prepay with the bill. So again, a nice report here. We are working on another report to have an actual prepay report. Hope to have that by the end of the year for you. But this is kind of what it's all about. We'll consistently look to upgrade and improve the product based on user feedback. So the more that you guys contribute, the more we will keep you notified of what's happening and keep improving the product. Um, just pause there for just a minute and just see if anyone had any questions. All right, so if I go to field records for a moment and kind of switch gears because we did the bill, we have our inventory adjusted. Traction knows exactly how much I paid per ton, per gallon, per unit. How do I get these things back to a field and track my field profitability? So you do have this field profit center report. Um, so what you can do here is go to field records, and you can do it one of two ways. So field records is where I go to see my current list of field records I've already entered into Traction. Now these field records can be entered in manually, or if you've got the John Deere integration or Climate Field View, you can approve them, kind of like what we did with the FS bills. You can bring them in that way as well, approve the field records, and that will also update your field record area. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. For today's sake, just again, we don't really have a whole lot here to show you in terms of like an existing field record. So I'm going to do one from scratch. I'm going to do a new record. This is going to be a seeding application, and I'm going to pick a field out here. We'll call this one, let's see, the C and S field, this 32 acre field here. So keep it quite simple here. I'll pick out one field and do a field record on it. We'll pick out the date here. I'll just kind of turn back the clock to May. Weather conditions are kind of nice. We have a nice report that shows all this information on it. Hit the next button. Seed record. So again, all my seed varieties are here. I'm going to pick out my decal corn seed and my chemicals. We'll pick out the Atrax, which is what you just saw I purchased a few minutes ago with the FS bill integration. So it's pulling in that information. My exact cost per gallon is automatically here for me. Fertilizer, same way. If I just pick one out here, all looks good. In this area here, so the quantity applied, just so you know, you can change this. If for whatever reason you need to change it, you can. Equipment, we'll pick out the machine here. We'll pick out the John Deere tractor, and we'll pick out the Kinsey planter. You can add people to the field record. So we'll have John Smith was out planting the field that day. You don't really have to do all that work there, but it is kind of nice to track if you're doing the work already here. We can add notes to the field record. I'm going to hit save and basically enter the field record this way. So we added this new one, new seeding record. It's actually right here, that CNS field. Now, that CNS field, let me go back to the account register for just a minute. Before I go back to the actual report of it, let's say I had a cash rent expense on that field that I had to put in here. So this check register area is quite nice. This is where all the action happens from day to day. You'll spend majority of your time on this account register screen. This is where you go to enter in transactions through a bank integration just by hitting the little warning symbol here and filling out the details, or you can do an add new here and do a new payment or deposit. So very nice, very simple interface. This particular transaction, this was Bill Everett's. He is the landlord for that field actually, and we had to write a check for about $5,500 of cash rent. And so you have the ability here to, again, the chart of accounts being very important to figure out, make sure you got this right. But this is where you're going to allocate that expense to. This is rent expense for that 32 acre field. And you can add more memos and things down here too. Again, PDF file that you want to drop in here, no problem. Allocation is the part that I wanted to at least show you how this works, because this is going to really impact those field profitability reports that we're going to jump into next. But that no allocation, so I don't have to allocate anything in Traction if I don't want to. But if you go the extra step here and click this button, you can pick out the zones, which are the fields. So these are the fields you have set up in Traction. So if you're looking for that CNS field, right here it is. I'm going to go ahead and allocate that rent to that field. You can pick out more than one field here. If you got a rent check for more than one field that you're doing, you can do that. But for this one, I just have one field. Hit apply, and I'm going to hit save and close. I'm not going to print the check. Now I can print checks in Traction, but I'm going to say this is not what I'm going to print. Maybe it was even hand wrote to Bill Everett's. I'm going to hit save and close. And the account register is up to date. So right here's that check for $5,500 to Bill Everett's. It was for cash rent. Now if I go back to reports and go to Field Profit Center report, click this button, I have, it looks like 14 fields showing up here. Now, one of them is that CNS field. So this has all sorts of information here to look at and whether I was profit on all those fields or not. Now, if I wanted to drill down to just one field, just hit that button and I will turn off all those check marks and we will just focus on the one field, the CNS field, and hit apply and update. And so it removes all the other fields off the report and just shows the one field. Really haven't done a whole lot to this field other than the field record, and we allocated some cash rent expense to this field. But as you can see here, I can see my total cost per acre so far. And so when I do a harvest record, when that happens in Traction, it will bring in the harvest record in the Traction, give you a break even per bushel on this field, and really drill down profitability wise, and really get that information and really help you from a decision making standpoint. But again, that Atrax, that price that I'm buying it at, again, that you kind of see now the integration of the FS and how that's kind of going full circle now. It's updated my inventory. I can then do field records with it. It depletes my inventory. It assigns my exact cost to my field. And that's also true with my equipment down below here. So that John Deere tractor, we had some repair expenses and things too. It's allocating $32 per acre. So it's just trying to drive my profitability and really try to get to the point where you know exactly where you're at on these fields. You know, whether do I cash rent a field or not? This is going to tell you that information. I'm going to pause for a moment and see if there's any questions coming in.
Excuse me, Paul Castle from Spencer. I was just curious. Well, I have the Traction Enterprise, and it has some of that same features. Will there be a time in the future where those two will be fused or melded together, or Traction Business and Traction Enterprise?
Yeah. So we let me just go ahead and put you on mute here for a moment here, Paul, just so I don't have any backlash. But yeah, so we are looking at that just for the group. We've made actually quite a few acquisitions here in the past 3 years. One of them was Granular Business, which is we had to change the name to Enterprise. That's a whole separate product, doing more advanced field operation type of things. So yeah, we're looking at it. I'd say, Paul, we're not in a rush to make this integration happen right away. We want to make sure we get our ducks in a row and make sure things are going to, make sure things are get lined up the way we want to get them lined up. So with that said, that's definitely the goal at some point down the road. But we're definitely taking it a step-by-step approach. And that would be the same for Conservice. We acquired them a couple of years ago, and we did have a new acquisition last month, PC Mars on the accounting side. So A lot of exciting things happening at Traction. Yeah, good question.
It's, excuse me. There's some things overlap between Traction Enterprise and Traction Business. So I guess that's kind of an issue with all this. You kind of overlap some stuff with John Deere and with Growmark and all that. Kind of get. I'm trying to get it. Excuse me. Just a minute here.
Yep.
Just trying to eliminate the double entry. And I know the Traction Business has the good cost per bushel, cost per acre, cost per farm, but the Traction Enterprise has that too. So I guess it just matter just choosing what a person wants, and the FS has or Growmark has I forget what they call it now, but an app based that brings in John Deere and brings in their application, and trying to get to that kind of one stop. So you're not looking at three different. You're not looking at Field View. You're not looking at Op Center. You're not looking at Davis weather or something like that. You're trying to get that down to one deal. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll take time, but it makes it interesting as well. So.
Yeah. No, you bring up some interesting comments there, Paul. I agree with you. Really, everything you said there. We have to at some point tie things together into one platform. And to be honest, I've been at this now for 25 years or more in this space of software. I've never seen a platform quite like this, how it's got those integrations tying together into one platform. So, and we've done this in 5 years. So that's the most impressive part. It's really the team that we have here. I've got a lot of confidence we're going to get things done and get things done fairly fast because we've been doing it already. And I think the proof is right here to the point where this is what we've done so far. And there's a whole lot more we got to do yet. But this team is on a mission, and the mission is to tie all your accounting, all your operations, payroll, everything into one platform to give you that information that you need. So, as we look at some of those acquisitions that we made past few years, like Enterprise and Conservice, the idea is to eventually have one platform is really what we're looking at. But it's going to take some time, right? It's something that you just can't do in just 1 year. So but we got to do it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean the Traction Business has been so handy with the accounting because, like you say, you link your bank. Like you say, you eliminate so many steps and so much work, and then to have the accountant have access to it and to create your own Schedule F. I mean, that's just huge. I mean, that's like say time saving, and then the reports and the fact you can drill down to each one of them. That's really been handy. So, but like you say, there's a lot more to go. But anyway, that's great. You guys are doing this. I marvel at all the capability it has. So that's great.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a journey for some of our customers, especially the ones. And I'm going back to my days at FarmWorks because it was such a successful product. We've converted a lot of those customers over to Traction, and there might be a few out there that have not for various reasons. There might be a feature or two that we don't have. Maybe that they really have to have in FarmWorks. So it's a bit of we're chopping away at it. I'd say that the biggest thing I'll say to the group here today is it's the direction that we go in this software is really based on customer feedback. We take all the feedback from you guys. We manage it. We kind of look at that roadmap and see where things fit. And we're not going to let go of the gas pedal. We're going to keep moving forward with these updates and make the product better. So the goal is to create less work, less data entry. We're going to look every possible way to make that happen. Traction. And then just the report side. I'm sorry.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, like I say, it's just really been I've been involved. I was involved with granular business since 2017, but it's been great to see you guys. You guys have really trajectory has really been great. So with new features, new products. Anyway, that's that. So just so you know.
Well, and this is kind of a neat little fact for you. You might find this interesting because you are currently using, another product as well in addition to traction. Like if you look at crops on the left here, Paul, some of the stuff like the interface, user interface, that's going to look a little similar to you. Like it's going to look like, wow, that kind of looks like granular business a little bit. So there are some really neat things that we're able to do with those different products that we currently own. Some of it has really nice UI that we're able to kind of borrow from that product and move it over to traction. So um, that's also made it go a little bit faster than if you're trying to do this from scratch. So that's just a little bit of a, I guess, insight for you, Paul.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, appreciate it. So
The report side of things you touched on there. So yeah, when you start looking at these specific reports like a Schedule F or balance sheet, income statement, when you look at these, you can filter them by entity. So if you wanted to have both entities on one report, you just click on them. Make sure your date range is right. We do get some support that comes in and like my numbers aren't showing up on the report, and it can be an easy oversight here because you don't have the right date range here on the report, like this one here. For some reason, it's got the wrong date on it. Um, just hit update, and that will update the date range and refresh the screen. But here we've got the perfect example of two different entities. I have two income statement reports, and I want to have everything on one report. And the nice thing about these reports, a lot of them have this drill down ability. So if you look at chemical expense and you're kind of wondering where that number came from, just click on that number and that will allow you to drill down and see what made up chemical expense. So, and and you can keep drilling down. So if you look at these numbers here and you want to keep clicking on them and to see exactly where they came from, you can get right down to the actual transaction of where it came from. So that's also another thing I think our customers really enjoy is the reports are really user friendly. Whether it's an income statement report or a Schedule F, pretty easy to kind of navigate, pick out what entity you want to look at. Again, just making sure you have the right date range here, and things will start refreshing on the screen, and the numbers will actually, the real numbers should be working for you. But that date range, for whatever reason, does trip up some people sometimes. So just kind of keep your eye on that. Any other questions for today? Okay. Well, I think I'm going to just kind of end it today. I covered quite a bit, and my goal again was try to complete that circle of bringing bills in from FS and how to deal with the inventory side of it, allocate some things back to fields, and kind of show you how all that works. I'm going to go ahead and just pop up my slide deck here one more time. And just to conclude for today, we do have some other webinars that you can sign up for. We have this best practices for year-end tax planning. That one's tomorrow. Even if you're not a Traction customer, you might see some value in that. Taryn's going to go through some reports and things that she would suggest you have if you're having any type of accounting meeting before year end to talk about all that stuff. So that one you can sign up for, as well as your 1099s. We're going to deep dive into that in Traction. Those are going to be after the new year, but those are very beneficial to show you how to connect a tax 1099, how to get those 1099s ready to go, whether you're going to hand them to your accountant and have them do your 1099s for you, or maybe you just want to file them yourself. We're going to show you both ways in those webinars. And the webinars, just go to our website. You'll have to go down to the footer area. There's a upcoming events button to click on. This is the actual URL link here. But if you go to our website, you'll see a whole bunch of webinars there. We're going to continue to add more for the future. But we love to see you there, and love to hear the questions and things. So appreciate your time.